Now this is pod racing! Spelljammer Adventures in Space has been released, and as part of the books, we have 6 new race options. How exciting! A lot of them are actually very interesting. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where we do the Space Jam! Today I will start with Astral Elves, but first I'll quickly introduce how races work in this book. When you create a character, you have 2 different options for the ability score increases your race grants. You either get to increase one ability score by 2 and another one by 1, or you add 1 to 3 different ability score. All of the races get to speak and understand Common and another language that is appropriate for their character. Time to get into Astral Elves. Some alarms might be ringing with that name, at least it did for me. These guys are similar to their Feywild cousins, but are related to the Astral Plane instead. Lore-wise, their adaptability comes from Korlorn, their patron god with the ability to adapt to various forms. These elves didn't leave the Feywild to go to the material plane, but went to the astral plane to be closer to their gods. And because the astral plane is all funky with its time, they don't age at all. So they'll probably have an even more serious superiority complex with all those years. As you may have expected, they are humanoid. Oh, look at that. They fixed the mistake on D&D Beyond. Before, these guys didn't have the "you are also considered an elf" for any prerequisite or effect that requires you to be an elf clause. But now they've put it in. Good. There might be some hard copies that doesn't have this clause, just so you know. The size and speed are quite normal with them being medium and having a 30-foot speed. Now for Astral Fire, you know one of the following cantrips of your choice: Dancing Lights, Lights, or Sacred Flame. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for it. Choose when you select this race. Obviously, you choose whatever score will be the highest for your character, but it will only matter for Sacred Flame. As for usefulness, I would rate Sacred Flame the highest, followed by Light and Dancing Light in last place. Sacred Flame is a good damage cantrip. Light is a neat utility spell, and you could even put it on your crossbow bolt and shoot it at the enemy in the dark to create a situation where you can see them and they cannot see you. But Dancing Lights is basically just a worse version of Light because of the concentration. There is a small niche for War Magic Wizards, Durable Magic, because you can basically concentrate all the time with this as it's a cantrip for the bonus. But you can pick up the spell on wizards anyways. And with dips, you could use other spells. Next, they get Dark Vision of 60 feet, which is pretty usual for elves. Fey Ancestry for a boon against charms, which works the same mechanically as in Monsters of the Multiverse. And Keen Sense for proficiency in perception, which is pretty normal too. Now for Starlight Step, which is a bit more special. As a bonus action, you can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Another similarity to the Feywild's Eladrian and also Shattered Kai. They too can teleport a proficiency times per long rest since Monsters of the Multiverse. Unfortunately though, this has no additional effect, unlike the previous mentioned elves. Instead, they get a boost in Astral Trance compared to Trance. This is also quite similar to what the elves get in Monsters of the Multiverse. You get 1 skill proficiency and 1 weapon or tool proficiency that you can swap on a long rest. The difference being that the other elves don't get a skill proficiency, but instead another weapon or tool proficiency. This is akin to Githyanki's astral knowledge, basically sharing the knowledge of other astral plane inhabitants to improve your own prowess. That was all their features. Let's compare to what Eladrin and Shattered Kai get, as those are probably the closest comparisons. Astral Elves takes the being old and knowing more than you to the max. The others don't get that, but roleplay wise there might not be that big of a difference. They all get Fey Ancestry, Keen Senses, and 60-foot Dark Vision. They all get to teleport proficiency times per long rest. While that is all for the Astral Elves, Eladrin also gets to choose between 4 different effects of varying strength. And Shattered Kai temporarily gets resistance to all damage when they teleport. In turn, Astral Elves get one extra cantrip, which is one of Dancing Lights, Light, and Sacred Flame. Lastly, they all get a form of trance, but Astral Elves get an extra skill proficiency instead of weapon or tool. In my games, I don't think the extra proficiency is very necessary, as I can pick up the most important ones like Arcana, Stealth, and Perception from my background and race usually. But it's okay. The extra cantrip is also just okay, not a big deal. I would say this race is as powerful as Eladrin and Shattered Kai, if not a little worse. End of video. Next is GIF. I hope I earned your subscription. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.